Welcome back, Coinology. The moment you hear the words 1 cent coin, your mind probably imagines something small, common, almost worthless, a coin that slips between couch cushions or sits ignored in jars for years. But today we are going to slow everything down and look very deeply at one specific penny, the 2007 Lincoln 1 cent, because sometimes history hides in plain sight, and sometimes the smallest denomination can carry the biggest stories, the biggest myths, the biggest collector excitement, and even the biggest market rumors you will ever hear in the world of coins. Imagine holding a 2007 penny in your hand. At first glance it looks ordinary, copper-colored, familiar, something you might have received in change without a second thought. But this coin was born in a very specific moment in American history. The year 2007 sits right before the global financial crisis, at a time when the United States Mint was producing billions of coins every year to keep commerce moving. The Denver Mint, marked with the small but powerful D Mint mark, was one of the busiest facilities in the world, striking massive quantities of Lincoln cents that would travel through every pocket, purse, and cash register across the nation. The Lincoln cent itself has a long and legendary history, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. By 2007, this design had already become one of the longest-running coin designs in world history. When you look at the obverse of the 2007 penny, you see the familiar right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln, calm, thoughtful, dignified. This portrait is based on the Victor David Brenner design that has survived wars, depressions, social change, and technological revolutions. Above Lincoln's head you see the word liberty, a simple word but one that carries enormous meaning in American culture. In front of Lincoln's face is the date, 2007, and just below that date, the small letter D, quietly telling you that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. The weight of the 2007 Lincoln cent is an important detail that many people overlook. By this time, the United States had already transitioned away from solid copper pennies. The 2007 cent weighs approximately 2.5 grams. It is made of a zinc core, about 97.5% zinc, with a thin copper plating of about 2.5%. This change, which began in 1982, was driven by rising copper prices. If this penny were made of solid copper, it would actually be worth more melted down than its face value, but laws protect it from being melted for profit. Still, the feel of the coin, the sound it makes when dropped, and even the way it ages over time are all affected by this composition. The diameter of the coin is about 19.05 millimeters, and its thickness is around 1.52 millimeters. These precise measurements are part of what make coin collecting such a technical and fascinating hobby. Every fraction of a gram, every micron of thickness, matters when experts are evaluating authenticity, condition, and possible mint errors. And when we talk about big money coins, details like weight and composition suddenly become incredibly important. Now turn the coin over and look at the reverse design used in 2007. This is where things become especially interesting. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial, a design that was first introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The memorial appears strong and symmetrical, with the words United States of America arching above, E pluribus unum across the top, and 1 cent boldly displayed at the bottom. If you look closely, and I mean very closely, with magnification, you can actually see a tiny seated statue of Abraham Lincoln inside the memorial, a remarkable detail for such a small coin. By 2007, this reverse design was nearing the end of its long run. Just 2 years later, in 2009, the Mint would temporarily change the reverse design to celebrate Lincoln's bicentennial, and then permanently change it again in 2010 to the Union Shield. That means the 2007 penny belongs to the final chapter of the Lincoln Memorial era, a detail that gives it added historical context and collector interest. Now let's talk about mintage, because numbers matter. The Denver Mint struck billions of Lincoln cents in 2007. That means most 2007 pennies are extremely common in circulated condition. You can still find them in pocket change today. And this is where the story splits into two paths. On one path, you have the everyday 2007 penny worth exactly 1 cent. On the other path, you have rare conditions, extraordinary errors, and perfect specimens that push this humble coin into a completely different universe of value. Collectors and dealers are obsessed with condition. A 2007 penny that has circulated, with scratches, wear, and dull surfaces, is face value. But a 2007 penny in uncirculated condition, especially one graded MS67, MS68, or even higher by professional grading services, becomes something else entirely. These coins have sharp strikes, blazing luster, no visible marks, and perfect eye appeal. They are rare not because few were minted, but because few survived in perfect condition. Then there are mint errors, and this is where the excitement truly explodes. Errors can include off-center strikes, double strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, cut errors, and double dies. If a 2007 penny shows dramatic doubling on the date or lettering, or if it was struck on the wrong planchet, or if it has a major die error, its value can skyrocket from 1 cent to hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars, depending on severity and rarity. And then we enter the world of rumors, legends, and headline-grabbing claims. You may have seen stories or videos claiming that a 2007 D penny is worth $434,000 million. That number is staggering, almost unbelievable, and it captures attention instantly. In the world of coin collecting, such figures are often tied to extremely rare, unique specimens, experimental strikes, or coins with extraordinary provenance. Sometimes these values are theoretical, sometimes they are misreported auction results, and sometimes they are exaggerated to create excitement. But what matters is this: the belief itself fuels interest. People start checking their change. People start researching. People start learning the symbol of the coin, the 1-cent denomination, also carries deep meaning. The penny represents humility, beginnings, and accessibility. It is the first coin many children learn about. It is the coin people say a penny saved is a penny earned about. And yet, in the collector world, the penny is also one of the most complex and studied coins, with endless varieties, errors, and historical layers. The market value of coins is not fixed. It moves with collector demand, metal prices, auction results, and cultural interest. A coin that nobody cared about 10 years ago can suddenly become the center of attention if a new variety is discovered or if a record sale occurs. Social media and YouTube have amplified this effect dramatically. One viral video can turn an overlooked coin into a global obsession overnight. When people hear claims like $434,000 million attached to a penny, it sparks imagination. It makes people wonder what they might be holding. It makes them look closer, learn more, and appreciate the craftsmanship and history behind everyday objects. And that, in many ways, is the real value of these stories. As you hold that small coin, think about the journey it may have taken. From the Denver Mint, through armored trucks, into banks, stores, vending machines, pockets, and jars. It may have passed through hundreds of hands. It may have witnessed everyday life in quiet ways. And yet, in the right condition, or with the right error, or the right story, it can transform from an unnoticed object into something people talk about, collect, and treasure. This is only the beginning of the story of the 2007 D Lincoln cent. There is much more to explore, from grading details and error examples to auction records, collector psychology, and the future of the penny itself. In the next part, we will go even deeper, breaking down how to identify valuable examples, how professionals authenticate and grade these coins, and how market hype and reality collide in the world of modern coin collecting. When we continue this journey deeper into the world of the 2007 D Lincoln 1 cent, the most important thing to understand is how collectors separate an ordinary coin from a potentially extraordinary one. This process is not magic, and it is not guesswork. It is observation, patience, education, and experience. Every serious collector begins by learning how to truly see a coin, not just look at it. The first thing experts examine is the surface. Under normal light, a penny may appear clean, but under magnification, its true story is revealed. Tiny scratches, known as contact marks, come from coins bumping into each other during minting and transportation. Even brand new coins can have these marks. A high-value 2007 D penny must have minimal to no visible marks, especially on Lincoln's face and in the open fields around the portrait. These areas are the most critical because they show damage most easily. Luster is another major factor. When a coin is freshly struck, it has a radiant, cartwheel-like shine that moves as you tilt it under light. This luster fades quickly once a coin enters circulation. A 2007 D penny that still has full, original mint luster after many years is already uncommon. If the luster is broken, dull, or uneven, value drops sharply. Collectors pay a premium for coins that look as if they were frozen in time the moment they left the mint. Color also plays a powerful role. Lincoln cents are categorized by color: red, red-brown, and brown. A fully red 2007 D penny, with bright copper color across the entire surface, is far scarcer than one that is toned or darkened. Copper plating reacts with air, moisture, and oils from human hands. That is why most older pennies turn brown. Finding a modern cent that remains fully red after years is a sign of careful storage and excellent preservation. Then comes strike quality. Not all coins are struck equally, even within the same year in mint. Some strikes are weak, with soft details in Lincoln's hair or the lettering. Others are sharp and crisp. A sharply struck 2007 D penny will show clear separation in Lincoln's hairlines, strong lettering in Liberty, and well-defined details in the Lincoln Memorial columns on the reverse. Strong strikes are always more desirable. And now let's talk about errors in more detail, because this is where many legendary values are born. Mint errors occur when something goes wrong during the striking process. The mint produces coins at incredible speeds, and even small mechanical issues can create dramatic results. A doubled die occurs when the die itself is impressed more than once at slightly different angles. This causes visible doubling in letters and numbers. If a genuine doubled die were discovered on a 2007 D penny with strong, clear doubling, collectors would go wild. Off-center strikes are another type of error. If the planchet is not properly centered when struck, part of the design may be missing, and part of the blank metal may show. The more dramatic the off-center strike, while still showing the date and mint mark, the higher the value. Some off-center coins look so unusual that they barely resemble normal currency, which makes them fascinating to collectors. Clipped planchets happen when the metal strip used to make blanks overlaps or is miscut, resulting in a coin with a curved or straight missing section. These errors are instantly recognizable and very collectible. A clean, dramatic clip on a 2007 D penny could be worth many times its face value. Die cracks and cut errors are another category. Over time, dies wear out and crack. When molten metal fills these cracks during striking, raised lines appear on the coin. A cut occurs when a piece of the die breaks away completely, leaving a raised, blob-like area on the coin. Large cuts are rare and highly prized. They represent the final moments of a dying die, captured forever in metal. There is also the mysterious world of wrong planchet errors. If a penny is accidentally struck on a blank meant for another denomination or even another metal, the result can be astonishing. Weight immediately becomes the giveaway. A coin that looks like a penny but weighs too much or too little raises instant red flags. These errors are among the most valuable modern mint mistakes and can reach incredible prices at auction. Professional grading is the gatekeeper to serious money. Third-party grading services examine coins under controlled conditions, assign a grade, authenticate errors, and seal the coin in a protective holder. A 2007 D penny graded MS68 or higher is extremely rare. Each point higher on the grading scale represents a massive jump in quality and scarcity. That is why two coins from the same year can have wildly different values. The market itself is driven by competition. When collectors want the finest known example of a coin, they are willing to pay extraordinary prices. Registry sets, where collectors compete to assemble the highest graded sets, push prices even higher. If only one or two examples of a 2007 D penny exist at a certain grade, those coins become trophies. Stories of massive values often begin with a single auction result. One surprising sale can reset the entire market. People talk, articles are written, videos are made, and suddenly demand explodes. Even rumors of a six-figure or seven-figure coin can change how people view an entire series. The idea of a penny being worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars captures imagination because it challenges common sense. It reminds us that value is not always about size or denomination. It is about rarity, condition, history, and desire. A painting is just canvas and paint, yet it can be priceless. A coin is just metal, yet it can carry immense value. The 2007 D Lincoln cent sits at the crossroads of modern minting and classic design. It is modern enough to be familiar, yet old enough to belong to a fading era of everyday coinage. As time passes, fewer pristine examples will survive. Coins get lost, damaged, cleaned, or discarded. Survivorship matters. Collectors of the future may look back at the early 2000s as a transitional period in American money. Physical currency slowly giving way to digital transactions. In that context, a perfect 2007 D penny becomes more than just a coin. It becomes a snapshot of a specific moment in economic history. As interest grows, so does misinformation. That is why education is essential. Not every shiny penny is valuable. Not every online claim is true. But within the noise, genuine treasures do exist. And every serious collector knows that the next great discovery could come from anywhere, even a simple roll of pennies. In the next part of this journey, we will go even further into real-world examples, how collectors search rolls in bank boxes, how storage and handling can protect value, and how patience separates lucky finds from true long-term success in the world of penny collecting. As we move further into this story, the focus shifts from theory to real-life behavior, the habits, routines, and quiet discipline that separate casual curiosity from serious collecting. The truth is that most valuable modern pennies are not found by accident. They are found by people who are patient enough to search, careful enough to protect what they find, and educated enough to know when something is truly special. One of the most common methods collectors use is roll searching. This means obtaining rolls of pennies directly from banks and examining each coin one by one. A single bank box can contain thousands of cents, most of them ordinary, but within that mass there can be gems. A 2007 D penny in full red, uncirculated condition can sometimes be found this way, especially if the roll came from long-term storage rather than circulation. Collectors often search not just for 1 year, but for condition, luster, and anomalies that stand out immediately under good lighting. Lighting is critical. Experienced collectors use bright, neutral light that reveals surface texture and luster without creating glare. The coin is tilted slowly, allowing the light to move across the surface. This reveals hairlines, marks, and breaks in luster that are invisible under casual viewing. Many people think a coin is perfect until they see it under proper light. That moment can be humbling, but it is also educational. Handling is another major factor. Oils and acids from human skin can permanently damage copper-plated coins. Serious collectors handle pennies only by the edges, or they use cotton gloves. A single fingerprint left on a bright red 2007 D penny can eventually turn dark and ruin its top-tier potential. Once that happens, the damage cannot be reversed. Storage determines the future of a coin. Air, moisture, and temperature changes are enemies of copper. Coins are stored in inert holders, flips, or slabs that do not contain PVC or harmful chemicals. Some collectors use silica gel packets to control humidity. Others store their collections in climate-controlled environments. These practices may sound extreme, but they are what preserve value over decades. And now let's talk about authentication, because this is where dreams meet reality. When someone believes they have found a rare or valuable 2007 penny, the next step is verification. This usually means comparing the coin to known examples, studying reference images, and consulting experts. Many supposed errors turn out to be damage caused after the coin left the mint. Scratches, dents, and chemical stains can mimic mint errors to the untrained eye. True mint errors have specific characteristics. Doubling from a doubled die is raised and rounded, not flat. Damage doubling is usually flat and irregular. Understanding this difference can save collectors from disappointment. Weight, diameter, and thickness are measured with precision tools. Even a fraction of a gram can confirm or deny a wrong planchet theory. Professional grading services exist because trust matters. A coin certified by a respected grading service carries authority. Buyers trust the grade. Sellers can justify their prices. Without certification, extraordinary claims remain just claims. A 2007 penny said to be worth a massive amount must pass through this gate to be taken seriously by the high-end market. The psychology of collecting plays a huge role in value. People do not just buy coins, they buy stories. A coin associated with a discovery, a record, or a unique characteristic becomes desirable beyond its metal content. If a 2007 penny were proven to be the only known example of a certain error, its story alone would drive intense competition among collectors. This is how legendary coins are born. Not overnight, but through documentation, recognition, and repetition. Articles are written. Auction catalogs highlight the piece. Experts discuss it. Over time, the coin's reputation grows. Value follows reputation. Market cycles also influence prices. When interest in coins rises, prices climb. When interest falls, prices soften. Modern coins often move differently than classic coins because their rarity is still being defined. A coin that seems common today may turn out to be scarce in high-grade years later. This uncertainty creates opportunity. The claim of extreme values, like hundreds of thousands or millions, often reflects the highest possible scenario, a perfect storm of condition, rarity, error type, and demand. It is the ceiling, not the average. Most collectors understand this, but they also understand that without dream prices, passion fades. Big numbers keep the hunt alive. Another important aspect is education through failure. Every collector has stories of coins they thought were valuable but were not. These experiences sharpen the eye. They teach humility. Over time, the collector learns to recognize quality instantly. What once required magnification becomes obvious at a glance. The 2007 penny continues to circulate, quietly, even now. That means the population of high-grade survivors is shrinking. Every day, coins are scratched, corroded, or lost. This slow attrition is invisible, but it matters. It is why condition rarities exist even for modern coins. Collectors who understand this think long-term. They do not chase hype blindly. They build knowledge, store carefully, and wait. Sometimes waiting years or decades. The reward is not just financial. It is the satisfaction of understanding something deeply that others overlook. As we prepare to go even deeper, the next stage of this story will examine real auction behavior, how record prices are set, how coins are marketed, and how a simple penny can move from a pocket to a pedestal under bright auction lights, where history, desire, and money collide. As this journey continues, the spotlight now turns to the place where myths are tested and legends are either confirmed or destroyed, the auction room. This is where theory becomes reality, where numbers are no longer guesses, and where a small copper-colored coin can suddenly command the attention of wealthy collectors, investors, and institutions from around the world. An auction is not just a sale, it is a performance of confidence, trust, and competition. When a coin such as a 2007 Lincoln Cent appears in a major auction catalog, every word used to describe it matters. The grade, the certification number, the photographs, the pedigree, and even the way the coin is positioned within the catalog all influence how bidders perceive it. A coin described as finest known or a unique example instantly changes the emotional temperature of the room. High-grade modern coins often surprise people at auction. Many assume only ancient or gold coins bring big money, but registry competition has rewritten those assumptions. When collectors are building the best possible sets, they are not competing against the past, they are competing against each other. If 2 or 3 top collectors all need the same coin in the same grade, the price can climb rapidly, far beyond what logic alone would suggest. This is how extraordinary prices are born. One bid pushes another, until the hammer falls at a number nobody expected. After that moment, the coin's value is no longer hypothetical. It is recorded. It becomes a reference point for every future discussion. A single auction result can redefine the entire market for a specific coin. Marketing plays a silent but powerful role. Professional photography reveals luster, color, and surface quality in a way the human eye might miss. Strategic lighting makes the coin look alive. Descriptions emphasize rarity, survival rates, and historical context. None of this is accidental. The goal is to create desire, to make bidders feel they are not just buying a coin, but securing a piece of history that may never appear again. Provenance adds another layer. If a 2007 penny came from a famous collection or was part of a known discovery, its story becomes richer. Collectors love lineage. A coin that once belonged to a respected numismatist carries prestige. That prestige translates into confidence, and confidence translates into higher bids. The concept of population reports is critical here. Grading services track how many coins have been graded at each level. If only one 2007 penny exists at a certain top grade, that information is public. Everyone knows it. That single data point can turn an otherwise common coin into a crown jewel. Population rarity is often more important than mintage numbers. This is where extreme valuations, even those that sound impossible, begin to make sense. Value is not determined by how many coins were made, but by how many survive in a specific condition. Billions may have been minted, but if only one survives in perfect form, that one becomes extraordinary. Speculation also enters the picture. Some buyers are not collectors in the traditional sense. They see coins as assets. They study trends, registry growth, and demographic shifts. They ask who will want this coin in 10 or 20 years. Modern coins appeal to newer collectors who grew up seeing these designs in circulation. Nostalgia becomes a powerful force. The penny itself has become a subject of debate. Rising production costs and declining usage have led many to question its future. If the 1-cent coin were ever discontinued, interest in Lincoln cents could surge. The last years of production would gain new significance. In that scenario, a pristine 2007 penny would represent a piece of a closed chapter. Another factor is timing. Coins do not exist in isolation from the world. Economic uncertainty often drives people toward tangible assets. During such periods, rare coins attract attention. Auctions during these times can produce record prices as buyers seek stability, history, and beauty in physical form. Behind every record sale is a network of experts. Numismatists, graders, auctioneers, and advisors all contribute to the final outcome. Their reputations matter. Trust is everything at high levels. A coin believed to be worth an extraordinary amount must pass through many hands, each confirming its authenticity and significance. Yet, not every highly promoted coin achieves its expected result. Sometimes a coin fails to meet reserve. Sometimes the market cools. These moments remind everyone that value is not permanent. It must be continually supported by demand. The stories of massive values attached to pennies often combine fact, speculation, and exaggeration. But they are not meaningless. They reflect the outer limits of what collectors imagine is possible. They set goals. They inspire searches. They keep the hobby alive. A 2007 Lincoln cent, standing alone under auction lights, represents more than metal. It represents time, survival, human behavior, and belief. Belief that something small can be extraordinary. Belief that history still hides in everyday places. As this exploration moves forward, the next phase will dive into long-term strategy, how collectors think in decades rather than days, how markets mature, and how the future may judge today's modern coins in ways we cannot yet fully predict. As we move into the deeper layers of this story, everything now begins to stretch forward in time. Collecting is no longer about the present moment, the excitement of discovery, or even the drama of auctions. It becomes about patience, vision, and the ability to think in decades rather than days. This is where casual interest fades and true long-term collectors remain. The future of the 2007 Lincoln 1 cent is tied closely to the future of money itself. Physical currency is slowly becoming less central in daily life. Digital payments, cards, and online transactions dominate where coins once ruled. This shift does something very powerful. It quietly freezes circulation. When coins stop moving hand to hand, fewer survive in fresh condition. Every year that passes, fewer untouched examples remain. Collectors understand this and act accordingly. They do not just search for coins, they preserve them for a future audience that may view them as artifacts of a vanished system. A bright, untouched 2007 penny 50 years from now will not be judged by today's standards alone. It will be judged by how rare such preservation has become in a world that no longer uses coins regularly. Time creates scarcity in ways mintage numbers never can. Billions can be made, but time filters them down relentlessly. Coins are lost, cleaned, damaged, or forgotten. This slow disappearance is invisible, but it is the engine behind long-term appreciation. Serious collectors build strategies. They decide whether they are focused on condition, errors, or historical significance. Some choose to assemble the finest possible set, one coin per year, each graded at the highest level they can afford. Others specialize narrowly, chasing errors or varieties. Each path has its own risks and rewards. Condition-focused collectors understand that perfection becomes exponentially more valuable as grades rise. The difference between an MS-67 and an MS-68 can be dramatic. That single point can mean the difference between a nice coin and a population rarity. This is why some collectors submit multiple examples for grading, hoping one will reach that elite level. Error-focused collectors think differently. They hunt for the unexpected. Their success depends on knowledge and sharp observation. When they find something real, the market often responds quickly because error coins have built-in drama. They are visual, undeniable, and unique. Historical thinkers look at broader context. They ask how future generations will interpret early 21st century America. What symbols will matter? What objects will survive? The Lincoln cent, with its long uninterrupted history, becomes a powerful symbol of continuity in a rapidly changing world. The emotional side of collecting cannot be ignored. Coins connect people to the past. A 2007 penny may remind someone of childhood, of a first job, of everyday life before everything became digital. That emotional connection fuels demand in ways spreadsheets cannot predict. Markets mature slowly. Modern coins often spend years being overlooked. Then, suddenly, they are rediscovered. This pattern has repeated many times in numismatic history. Coins from the mid-20th century were once dismissed as common. Today, high-grade examples are fiercely contested. Information also evolves. As more coins are graded and documented, the true rarity of certain conditions becomes clearer. Population reports change. New varieties are discovered. Old assumptions are revised. Collectors who stay informed benefit from these shifts. The role of media cannot be overstated. Videos, articles, and online communities shape perception. When people hear about extraordinary values, even if exaggerated, they start paying attention. Attention brings participation. Participation brings liquidity. Liquidity supports prices. At the same time, discipline is essential. Not every coin will be a winner. Long-term collectors accept this. They focus on quality, authenticity, and personal satisfaction rather than chasing every headline. The idea of a penny being associated with an enormous value, even hypothetically, serves as a symbol. It represents the maximum potential, the dream scenario. While most coins will never reach such heights, the possibility encourages careful preservation and respect for even the smallest objects. A 2007 Lincoln cent, stored properly, graded honestly, and understood deeply, becomes more than spare change. It becomes a time capsule. Its future value, financial or historical, will be decided by people who have not yet been born. As this exploration continues, the next part will look inward, at the philosophy of collecting itself, why humans assign value to objects, and how belief, scarcity, and storytelling combine to transform ordinary items into extraordinary treasures. As we move into this next layer, everything now turns inward, toward the human mind and the deeper reasons why a simple object like a 1-cent coin can inspire obsession, hope, debate, and belief. This is not just about metal, weight, or mint marks anymore. This is about psychology, perception, and the way humans create meaning. From a purely logical standpoint, a penny should never be special. It has the lowest face value, is produced in enormous numbers, and is often treated as disposable. People drop it, ignore it, even throw it away. And yet, that very neglect is what allows certain examples to rise above the rest. Value is born where attention is rare. Collectors are, at their core, pattern seekers. They search for order, for anomalies, for things that break expectation. When a collector looks at a 2007 penny, they are not seeing one coin. They are seeing billions of coins, and then mentally subtracting all the damaged ones, all the worn ones, all the cleaned ones, until only a tiny fraction remains. That mental filtering process is where rarity truly begins. Belief plays a powerful role. If enough people believe that a certain coin matters, then it does matter. Markets are not machines, they are emotional systems. Fear, excitement, pride, nostalgia, and competition all influence price. A coin associated with a dramatic story, even one that begins as speculation, gains energy. That energy attracts more eyes. More eyes create more belief. This is why extreme value stories spread so quickly. The idea that a penny could be worth an unimaginable amount challenges everyday thinking. It disrupts assumptions. It creates curiosity. And curiosity is the doorway to collecting. Even if the number itself is unrealistic for most examples, the story opens minds and brings people into the hobby. The Lincoln cent is especially powerful in this respect. Abraham Lincoln is not just a historical figure, he is a symbol. He represents unity, struggle, sacrifice, and moral leadership. Having his image on a coin that passed through countless hands creates a quiet intimacy between history and daily life. That emotional connection cannot be measured, but it can be felt. When collectors talk about special coins, they are often talking about moments frozen in time. A perfect 2007 D penny represents a moment when machines, metal, and human intention aligned perfectly. No scratches. No flaws. No interruptions. That perfection is rare in the real world, and humans are naturally drawn to it. There is also the idea of control. In a chaotic world, collecting offers structure. Sets have rules. Grades have definitions. Categories create order. Owning a top-grade coin gives a sense of mastery over a small, defined universe. This psychological reward is as real as any financial return. The act of searching itself is meaningful. Going through rolls, examining coins, learning differences between damage and error, all of this trains the mind. It slows time. It encourages focus. Many collectors describe the process as calming, almost meditative. The value is not just in what is found, but in the act of looking. Another powerful element is hope. Hope that the next coin will be different. Hope that something overlooked will reveal itself. This hope keeps people engaged. It is the same force that drives treasure hunting, scientific discovery, and exploration. Coins simply provide a safe, structured outlet for that instinct. Generational transfer adds another layer. Many collections are built not just for the collector, but for the future. A parent saves coins for a child. A grandparent passes down a box of carefully protected cents. These objects become carriers of memory. Their value grows beyond money. Over time, communities form around shared belief. Forums, clubs, shows, and online groups create collective knowledge. Within these spaces, certain coins gain status. Reputation builds slowly, reinforced by repetition and consensus. A 2007 D penny discussed often enough, analyzed deeply enough, begins to occupy mental space far beyond its size. Skepticism also plays an important role. Healthy doubt keeps the hobby honest. It forces proof. It separates fantasy from fact. The tension between belief and skepticism is what ultimately defines true value. A coin that survives intense scrutiny emerges stronger. In the end, value is a mirror. It reflects what people care about at a given moment in history. Today's ordinary objects are often tomorrow's artifacts. The penny that feels insignificant now may later be seen as a symbol of a slower, tactile world. A 2007 D Lincoln Cent exists quietly within this psychological landscape. It does not demand attention. It waits. And in that waiting, it gathers possibility. As we move forward, the next part will shift toward caution and responsibility, how collectors protect themselves from misinformation, how to avoid costly mistakes, and how knowledge becomes the strongest currency of all in the world of rare coins. As we step into this stage, the tone becomes more serious, more grounded, because every field that involves money, belief, and desire also attracts confusion, exaggeration, and sometimes deception. The world of coin collecting is no different. Knowledge is not just power here, it is protection. One of the first dangers collectors face is misinformation. Bold headlines, dramatic thumbnails, and exaggerated claims spread quickly, especially online. Numbers are often repeated without context. A single extraordinary coin can be presented as if it represents an entire year or mint. Over time, repetition makes these claims feel true, even when they are not. This is why critical thinking is essential. A responsible collector learns to ask specific questions. What exactly made this coin valuable? Was it the grade, the error, the condition, or the uniqueness? Was the price realized at a verified auction, or is it an asking price that never resulted in a sale? These distinctions matter. A market value is not what someone hopes to get, it is what someone actually paid. Another common risk is confusing damage with mint errors. Scratches, dents, corrosion, and chemical stains can look dramatic, especially to beginners. Some damage can even mimic doubling or unusual shapes. True mint errors have consistent characteristics and often match known error types. Learning these patterns takes time, but it prevents costly mistakes. Cleaning is one of the most damaging mistakes a collector can make. Many people believe they are improving a coin by making it shiny. In reality, cleaning destroys original surfaces and permanently lowers value. Even gentle cleaning leaves microscopic scratches that grading services detect instantly. A clean coin, no matter how rare it might have been, is often worth far less than an untouched one. There is also the temptation to self-grade. Human nature makes us see our own coins more generously than reality allows. Professional grading exists precisely because objectivity is difficult. Submitting a coin for grading costs money, so learning when a coin truly deserves submission is an important skill. Counterfeits, while less common with modern pennies, do exist in the broader market. Altered coins, added mint marks, and fabricated errors can fool inexperienced collectors. This is why buying certified coins or dealing with reputable sellers is critical when large sums are involved. Patience is another form of protection. Rushing leads to regret. Many collectors overpay early in their journey, driven by excitement. Over time, they learn to wait, compare, and research. The market always offers another opportunity. Missing one coin is better than overpaying for the wrong one. Record keeping is an underrated skill. Documenting where a coin came from, how much was paid, and any certification details creates clarity. Over years, this information becomes valuable, especially if a collection is sold or passed on. Serious collectors treat their holdings with the same care as any other asset. Education never ends. Even experts continue to learn. New varieties are discovered. Old assumptions are challenged. Staying connected to trusted sources, books, and communities keeps collectors grounded. The more you know, the harder it is to be misled. Balance is important. Passion fuels collecting, but discipline sustains it. Enjoy the hunt, appreciate the history, but remain realistic. Not every coin will change your life financially. Many coins offer value in learning and enjoyment rather than profit. The idea of extreme values attached to a penny should be approached with curiosity, not blind belief. Ask for evidence. Look for certification. Study auction records. When all these align, confidence grows naturally. A responsible collector understands that protecting the hobby is as important as protecting the coin. Misinformation erodes trust. Education strengthens it. Every careful decision contributes to a healthier market. A 2007 D. Lincoln cent, like any coin, deserves to be understood honestly. Its true value lies not in exaggerated numbers, but in its real characteristics, its condition, and its place within the broader story of American coinage. As we move toward the final stage of this long exploration, the next part will bring everything together, reflecting on legacy, meaning, and what it ultimately means to own, study, and preserve a small piece of history in the palm of your hand. As this journey reaches its final stretch, everything that has been discussed begins to merge into one clear idea: collecting is not about chasing numbers, it is about creating legacy. A coin may start its life as loose change, but the moment someone chooses to study it, protect it, and understand it, that coin enters a completely different world. A 2007 D. Lincoln 1 cent is not powerful because of what it costs or what it might sell for. Its power comes from what it represents. It represents continuity in American history, a design that survived for generations, and a time when physical money still moved through everyday life. Holding it is like holding a small piece of a much larger story. Legacy is built slowly. Most important collections were not assembled in a rush. They were built one coin at a time, with intention. The collector learns, makes mistakes, improves, and eventually develops an eye that can instantly recognize quality. That eye is earned. It cannot be rushed or bought. When someone preserves a coin carefully, they are speaking to the future. They are saying that this object mattered enough to protect. Decades from now, when someone else opens a holder and sees a perfectly preserved penny from 2007, they will not just see metal. They will see care, knowledge, and respect. Coins are honest objects. They do not change to impress anyone. They wait. Time works on them quietly. The ones that survive in high condition do so because someone intervened, someone chose not to spend them, not to clean them, not to ignore them. That choice is what creates rarity. The idea that a penny could ever be associated with an enormous value, even symbolically, teaches an important lesson. Never underestimate the ordinary. History often hides in the smallest places. What seems insignificant today can become meaningful tomorrow when context changes. The penny also teaches humility. It reminds collectors that value is not guaranteed. It must be earned through understanding, preservation, and honest evaluation. A coin does not owe anyone wealth. It offers possibility, not promise. For many collectors, the greatest reward is not selling, but knowing. Knowing that they can tell the difference between hype and reality. Knowing that they can explain why a coin matters. Knowing that they are part of a chain of people who cared enough to look closely. The 2007 D. Lincoln cent will continue to exist quietly, scattered across drawers, jars, and collections. Most will remain ordinary. A few will stand apart. And maybe one day, one will emerge with a story so strong that it captures attention again, reminding people why they ever started looking at pennies in the first place. In the end, collecting is about awareness. Awareness of history. Awareness of detail. Awareness of time. A small coin can teach all of this to anyone willing to slow down and observe. That is the true worth of the 2007 D. Lincoln 1 cent. As the story continues beyond what most people consider an ending, the focus shifts to something even quieter and more powerful: reflection. Reflection on time, on objects, and on how meaning slowly attaches itself to things that once seemed invisible. This is where the penny fully transforms from currency into artifact. Think about how history is usually remembered. Through monuments, documents, famous names, and dramatic events. But everyday history, the kind lived by millions of ordinary people, survives through small objects. Coins are among the most honest of these objects. They pass through every level of society. They are handled without ceremony. They witness daily life without bias. A 2007 Lincoln cent was there in grocery stores, gas stations, school cafeterias, and corner shops. It absorbed the rhythm of an era. As years pass, context changes. What was once common becomes unfamiliar. Younger generations may one day look at a penny and feel curiosity rather than indifference. Why was it made? Why was it used? Why does it look the way it does? These questions give the coin a second life, one rooted in learning rather than spending. Collectors who preserve coins are, in a sense, accidental historians. They are not writing books or building museums, yet they are safeguarding physical evidence of the past. A single preserved penny can answer questions that documents cannot. It's where patterns show how it was used. Its surface reveals how it was stored. Its survival tells a story of choice. There is also quiet discipline in holding something for the long term. In a world that encourages constant consumption and replacement, saving a small object and caring for it over decades is almost an act of resistance. It says that not everything must be used up immediately. Some things are worth keeping. The 2007 penny exists at a fascinating point in time. It was made when modern technology was advanced, yet before society fully transitioned away from physical money. It is both modern and nostalgic. That balance gives it future relevance. It can speak to both the past and the present. As collectors age, their relationship with their coins changes. Early on, excitement dominates. Later, understanding deepens. Eventually, responsibility emerges. What will happen to this collection? Who will understand it? Who will care? These questions shape how collections are organized, documented, and passed on. Many collectors find satisfaction in teaching others. Explaining why a coin matters, how to judge condition, how to avoid mistakes. Knowledge shared multiplies value. A coin understood by many is harder to forget. The myth of extreme value, whether fully real or partially exaggerated, plays an interesting role here. It acts as a gateway. It draws people in. But once inside, what keeps them is not the number, but the depth. They stay because they discover layers of history, craftsmanship, and human behavior they never noticed before. Over time, the collector learns to appreciate quiet rarity. Not the loud, obvious kind, but the subtle kind. The kind defined by survival, not production. A flawless surface. Untouched color. Perfect alignment. These qualities feel almost fragile in a harsh world, which makes them precious. A penny does not demand attention. It waits to be noticed. That patience mirrors the patience required to truly understand it. In that way, the coin becomes a teacher. As this long journey approaches its final movement, the last part will bring everything back to the beginning, to the simple act of holding a coin, and what it means to truly see something that has always been there. As this long journey moves closer to its final breath, everything circles back to the simplest moment of all, the moment a coin rests in your hand. Not under bright auction lights, not sealed in plastic, not attached to a dramatic number, but just there, small, quiet, ordinary. This is where understanding becomes complete. Holding a 2007 Lincoln 1 cent, you begin to realize how much information can exist in such a small space. The weight presses lightly against your skin. The edges feel smooth from years of contact. The surface reflects light differently depending on how it has lived its life. In that moment, the coin stops being an idea and becomes real. Most people never experience this moment fully. They see coins as tools, not as objects with stories. They spend them, drop them, forget them. Collectors do the opposite. They pause. They look. They ask questions. That pause is where value begins to form. The human brain is wired to overlook what is familiar. That is why extraordinary things often hide in plain sight. The penny is so common that it becomes invisible. Yet when you isolate it, study it, and place it within historical context, it becomes visible again. Almost intimate, every mark on a coin is evidence. Evidence of movement, handling, pressure, time. Even a perfect coin tells a story through its lack of marks. It tells a story of interruption avoided, of a path diverted. Something stopped it from becoming ordinary. The 2007 penny carries the design language of an entire nation. Words like liberty and e pluribus unum are not decoration. They are declarations. They are reminders of values that were important enough to strike into metal and send into the world. When you hold the coin, you hold those words too. There is also something humbling about scale. This coin survived while so much else disappeared. Receipts faded. Screens changed. Devices became obsolete. But the coin remains readable, understandable, physical. It does not require power or updates. It simply exists. Collectors eventually learn that the greatest shift is internal. At first, they ask, what is this worth? Later, they ask, what is this? That change marks maturity. Value becomes layered. Financial worth becomes just one layer among many of the extreme numbers people talk about. The headlines and claims begin to matter less. What matters more is certainty. Knowing exactly why a coin is common or rare. Knowing exactly what condition means. Knowing that your understanding is stronger than rumored. In that sense, the coin becomes a mirror. It reflects your level of patience, discipline, and attention. Two people can look at the same penny and see completely different things. One sees nothing. The other sees possibility, history, and structure. As time continues forward, the world will keep changing. Coins may disappear from daily use entirely. Children may grow up never receiving change. In that future, a penny will feel foreign, almost exotic. And those who preserve them will have preserved more than metal. They will have preserved experience. A 2007 Lincoln cent does not announce its importance. It waits for someone to notice. And when someone does, truly does, it rewards them not necessarily with money, but with understanding. One day, someone else may hold that same coin. They may not know your name. They may not know why you saved it. But they will know that someone cared enough to protect it. That silent communication across time is the quiet magic of collecting. Only one final step remains, the closing reflection, where everything returns to silence, and the journey that began with a simple question about a penny finally comes to rest. And now the journey comes to rest, not with noise, not with numbers flashing on a screen, but with stillness. The kind of stillness that only comes after something has been fully seen, fully considered, and fully understood. The story of the 2007 Lincoln 1 cent never needed to be loud. It never needed to prove itself. It existed long before attention found it, and it will exist long after attention moves on. That is the nature of enduring objects. They do not chase meaning. Meaning gathers around them slowly. In the beginning, this was just a penny. Something passed from hand to hand, something overlooked, something spent without thought. But by taking time to observe it, to ask questions about its weight, its design, its origin, its survival, and its place in the world, it transformed. Not because the coin changed, but because the way it was seen changed. This is the quiet truth at the heart of collecting. Value does not suddenly appear. It is revealed. It is revealed through patience, through learning, through resisting the urge to rush to conclusions. A coin teaches this lesson better than almost anything else, because it rewards stillness. The idea of enormous value, of unimaginable numbers attached to something so small, serves a purpose. It pulls people in. It sparks curiosity. But once curiosity has done its work, what remains is deeper and more lasting. Respect for history. Respect for craftsmanship. Respect for time. A 2007 Lincoln cent does not promise wealth. It offers perspective. It reminds us that history is not only found in museums and books, but in everyday objects that survive quietly among us. It reminds us that the ordinary can become meaningful when attention is applied. When this coin is placed back down, whether into a holder, a collection, or even a pocket, it carries something new. It carries awareness. And awareness changes everything. The journey that began with a simple 1 cent coin ends here, not because there is nothing left to say, but because the lesson has been delivered. Look closer. Slow down. Question what you think you already know. In doing so, even the smallest things can open the largest doors, and with that, the penny rests again, silent, waiting, exactly as it always has.